Let's go!
There's this clip from Shroud talking about extraction shooters that is like making its way around, which is like, I think really important and sort of defines the issue that I have with Monster Hunter Wilds. People are like, what if the Akuma stuff is meta? And I'm like, who cares what the meta is in Monster Hunter, dude? Like, the meta doesn't matter because I don't need to like optimize shit because things just die. There's no need for me to try to like really optimize my game plan because I just swing and things die. Yeah, check out this clip. This clip explains a lot. It doesn't explain everything, but
this is the epitome of what happens every single time. You come in, whether you're a AAA dev or an indie or whatever, you try to come into an extraction game and you try to make it and you try to remove the friction. There's a lot of friction in a game like Tarkov. There's a lot of like complexity and things that might not want you to open up the game ever. Hundreds of bullet types, thousands of individual items, quests that don't tell you at all where to go, no map. The weapon attachment system is like, what am I doing? Right? So much friction. There's so much friction to play Tarkov. Most people don't even open that game.
yeah, this is the argument of optimizing the fun out of video games, you know?
But that friction is what makes the game so popular to its core audience. So it's weird. You come in, you're a new dev or a AAA dev, whatever, and you want to remove the friction? Great. You remove the friction, the game is smooth, the game's easy to play, anyone can just click play and just be right in it, but they only play for a couple weeks or a month, and then they're like, well, there's nothing left to learn. Well, yeah, that's because you just removed all the friction. All the friction's gone, all the tooltips. Like, perfect example is this, yeah? On this screen, you see every single item and its value. You don't learn the value as a player. You instantly are told what it's worth. That is a developer coming in and saying, we're gonna remove the friction and remove the complications of like...
Sometimes, like, too much quality of life. Quality of life can be a good thing, but like leaning into it way too much is like removing what makes the game fun. I have a couple of examples personally, you know, that we'll talk about.
Complexity of like seeing an item and being like, what is this? We're just gonna tell you what it is. It's worth $1,000. That's it. Great if you're playing the game for the first time. Bad if you're playing the game for the 1,000th time. Because what makes extraction shooters good and interesting is giving that player the knowledge, the tools to like learn the game themselves, figure out what a pack of cigarettes is for. And nobody thinks like that. Most people are like, just tell me what the pack of cigarettes are for, man. But what's fun about extraction shooters is when they don't tell you. So I don't know. This we just keep seeing this over and over and over again. The gameplay has to be really, 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 really good because it's removing all of that friction and making the game super accessible.
And my personal example of this has directly happened to me with a shooting game. I loved Call of Duty Blackout. It was my first jump into BRs in general. I hadn't really played PUBG or games like that before. But Blackout was this nice little like game that allowed you with a big expansive map and gear and lootables and ways to counter that stuff and all of this shit. It was very cool. And then the next game comes out and it's called Warzone. This little Warzone game. And there's a big change to Warzone over Blackout. And this is what does it for me. Warzone just gives you a loadout. Relatively easy. You just get access to your best gear. And now the game at that point just turns into a kill fest. Just kill as many people as possible, you have your best gear. Warzone removed the most fun part of Blackout, which was that in Blackout, I don't know how this game is going to go. Dude, in Warzone, you do. You're getting your loadout and then you're just killing people. But the most fun I had in Blackout was taking a shit situation with shit gear and suddenly turning that around around and finding victory somehow of some weird gun that I never used. And suddenly, yeah, there's no script in Blackout. That to me is like the perfect example of removing the friction. We're gonna optimize the fun out of this fucking game. And I liked Warzone, but it just never grabbed me. It never like grabbed me like an addiction. Every single time I drop into Blackout, dude, I don't know what's going to happen. I try to go to this spot, but my plan is always deviated in some way that leads me from one spot to the next. Like the friction was removed from the game that I really like. A perfect example of that. I think the same thing also happened to Monster Hunter Wilds, where in Monster Hunter, it's great. The combat's amazing. We all know that the game is super fun and the game is combat amazing, but why do I need to deeply go grind gear? Why do I even need to spend time really mashing out this one monster to get this piece of gear that allows this thing to unlock so that I can take a 5-minute fight and turn it into a 3-minute fight? I just don't know if this game really is trying to like hit me in the ways that the previous games do, where I have to like overcome these odds and situations, so much to the point that there's been some newer fights that come out and I'm like, yeah, what does the fight last, like 8 minutes now? And it's like, well, we'll see. Like to me, Monster Hunter Wilds is the perfect example of like, it's still a lot of fun, but I feel like they may have reduced the friction in that game a little bit too much, and it already was severely reduced in World and severely reduced in Rise to a certain point. Now it's just hunting for drip. I don't even need to really know how to play the game. We just go in and whoop the fuck out of monsters, dude. They fucking get roasted, man. I don't know. It's like, to me, like the whole, there needs to be a reason for me to play, and just hunting for drip isn't like a great reason, you know? It's not just the thing that keeps me going. Like, I want to overcome, I want things to be beaten. I want to have reasons to grow and get better, to help my friends, to do this kind of stuff, to be more reliable. Like, I don't think games should just be necessarily 150% hard. We don't need things to be that, you know? It does not need to be as difficult as even Generations Ultimate, but friction is what makes games fun. Even to the point where I think fighting games have sort of gotten into a point where we're trying to remove the friction so much that we're just going to change the way the games sort of play. Like Tekken ran into this. We're going to change the way the whole game plays to remove the friction of learning characters and shit, like learning matchups. And it's like, whoa, no, this does not fucking work. I think modern controls are a way of removing friction, but at the same point, that also can be fine. I don't think specifically in fighting games like motion inputs are a huge thing of friction that pretty much prevent people from having fun or add more satisfaction to a game. No, you can have simple fucking motions and shit and the game can still be hard as fuck. KI does that shit, man. The challenge is still there, even though the inputs are not necessarily the challenge. They removed friction from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but they also expanded your brain in terms of how you play the game. And yeah, games like Elden Ring exist. Friction is what makes sparks fly. Finding some crazy challenge and then, you know, emerging from that challenge is like, I figured this out, bro. I feel good. It's something also in FF7 Rebirth that sucks. There's not a lot of friction around the game's explorative elements at all. So you just know where everything is. You just go get it. And the challenge is like therein once you're there, but it's not really much, so that the exploration sort of like is removed from it, which is why exploration in a game like Expedition 33 feels a lot better. There's a lot of friction in that game, dude. They don't give you any fucking maps. And that was smart, because now I was looking all over the place for shit in that game, dude. Loot felt valuable to me because I didn't see the extremely linear corridors that the game has with 1 or 2 branching paths. I couldn't see that at all times, so it forced me to have to look for it. Again, like, this friction thing is very true. When games try to remove too much friction, I'm down for controls getting easier and shit. I think that's fine, man. But when all of the game becomes quality of life, then what life is there to have? You are not logging back into that game after a week, bro. Like, you're just not. There's no game there for you to have fun with. There's other games that will engage you more. You know what I mean? This clip definitely resonated with me a lot. Made sense of why I enjoy the games that I do and which games really like hit for me, which ones really like do it for me. And he's using extraction shooters as the source of conversation, but I think there's a lot of things that explain why I like the games I do and why a lot of people like the games they do that don't just play themselves for you, dude. I don't want a game to play itself for me. I want to come across those solutions and find those solutions myself. That's what video games are about, man. That's why that shit is fun.